afternoon. We're delighted to see so many of you who are here today and delighted that you come to this place at this time to help us as we continue to have this opportunity to create a legacy for present and future generation and to continue this great work with the involvement of so many individuals and organizations in collaboration with the Slave Trail Commission. We're certainly grateful for the involvement of individuals such as Burke, Pinnock, and Matt Lard, and groups like the Defenders and the community at large, adding content to this purposeful agenda. Today, we celebrate all the amazing work on the continual effort to develop the slave trail. We stand at this place and Carroll's Landing, in which thousands of slaves disembarked from slave ships to slave holding pens. The Richmond Slave Trail Commission has walked on a journey for nearly 2 decades to bring citizens of Richmond and the Commonwealth to a place of better understanding the forgotten history of this city. We owe ExxonMobil appreciation for their contribution in enhancing and improving this side, south of the infamous James River. What they have done to improve this area is much more appealing and inviting to visitors that are interested in the starting point of the trail. We're also here to acknowledge additional accomplishment of the Slave Trail Commission in the installing of 53 slave trail markers along the 2.6-mile trail. These are just a few additional accomplishments added to over 30 to 40 projects that was developed on the trail in the past decade. The journey has been a labor of love, determination, and dedication as we have attempted to rewrite the history book and unearth some valuable truths about Richmond's role in the slave trade. It has no doubt been countless number of volunteer efforts and hours dedicated to the advancement and the enhancement of the trail. We have been instrumental in educating and enlightening our community and country, again, about a part of America's forgotten history, and we believe that the best is still yet to come. Richmond, as many of you may have known, was the largest source of enslaved Africans on the east coast of Americas from 1830 to 1860. The route traveled by some thousands of Africans who made their journey south by crossing the James River and by getting on ships to New Orleans. It then proceeds to follow a route through the slave trail of Richmond beside the Reconciliation statue, past Lumpkin's jail site and the Negro burial ground to the First African Baptist Church, a center of African American life's pre-Civil War. The trail is then enhanced by markers that chronicles the history of the trade of enslaved Africans from Africa to Virginia until 1775 and away from Virginia, especially Richmond, to other locations in the Americas to 1865. As you know, Richmond played a major role in that very dark and humiliating degrading period. Shockoe Bottom had a dense concentration of holding pens and called jails and auction houses that generated up to 50% of all currency passing through the city of Richmond. Even though we have had many gratifying findings and moments, one of the proudest was the excavation of the Lumpkins jail site. It has been documented that no slave pen was as notorious as the Lumpkins jail. And this jail had the reputation for being the most notorious jail on the East Coast. It was owned by Robert Lumpkins. So the emancipation of slavery brought an end to Lumpkins jail. And shortly after the Civil War, Robert Lumpkins died, leaving his inheritance to his wife, a slave by the name of Mary Lumpkins. So incorporated in that story is a story of tragedy, of slavery, but also the rising of a university in the name of Virginia Union University and the triumph of an educational institution that produced phenomenal progressive leaders throughout this nation and beyond. We have been granted a unique opportunity to help unearth buried history, rewrite the history book, as I said, and pass this treasure of truth and authenticity to the next generation. That is why we are here, and that is our every intention. So with that said, I present to you a man that has also been an amazing advocate for history and for this history. He's been a visionary leader in the effort to right what was wrong about this history and to lead in his position and authority in creating an international destination by the way of the slave trail. If you will join me right now as we ask that no one other than Mayor Jones will come to the podium.
Thank you, Delegate McQuinn, and to all of you who are present, thank you for joining us on this very important day. I want to acknowledge the work of the Slave Trail Commission and the dedication of Delegate McQuinn in passionately leading us to the point where we are today. Also, City Councilwoman Cynthia Newbill, who has done a tremendous job. We're hoping that Dr. Perkins will be here, President of Virginia Union University, because there is such a wonderful connection between what we are doing today and the evolving into the wonderful university that adorns our city, Virginia Union University. We also want to recognize and say that the work of the Slave Trail Commission has just been absolutely wonderful. Their job has been not only to preserve history, but to retell the story and to make sure the story continues to be told about the journey of Africans in America, the journey that has been tedious to say the least. And we certainly want to commend them for the job that they have been done and that they have been able to do. And so we're here today for two reasons. The first reason we're here today is to formally present these slave trail path markers. These are markers that will be wayfinding markers that will allow people to easily transverse the slave trail. This was a part of the legislation that allowed us to get money that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. That was a part of the call in that legislation, was that we improve the experience of people who go through the slave trail. And so these markers will have the opportunity today to allow people to have a better experience as they have wayfinding symbols to show them the way to go. And the second reason we're here today is to kick off the start of a public engagement process. We're calling it Richmond Speaks, and this will entail a series of public meetings and stakeholder interviews building on the work of the Slave Trail Commission. It's going to advance the Lumpkins Jail work site and prepare us to get something physical and tangible on the Lumpkins Jail site. Basically, we're going to have a citywide conversation about the future of Lumpkins and the position of this heritage asset, ways that we can make it more vital in our community. Now, we kind of have an idea of what we'd like to see in the pavilion, but we need to get input from the public. We need to get input from the citizens of Richmond so that they can tell us what they want the experience to feel like to them, what aspects are important, and how they want this story to be shared and how it should be approached. It's important for me to talk a little bit about resources today and tell you that we're in a position that we've never been in before as it relates to being able to fund an activity such as this. The year before last, my administration was able to go to the Commonwealth of Virginia to get $11 million to develop a heritage site at the site of Lumpkins Jail. And let me take a moment to express our appreciation to Delegate McQuinn for her help in this regard. But I also want to mention Governor Bob McDonald, who put this in his budget and who was, yeah, that's right, who was a very strong supporter of this and made sure that this was a part of the budget that he put in. And our present governor, Governor McAuliffe, is equally as committed to making sure that this happens. And so we are in a good position at a wonderful time. You know, this is personally important to me as a graduate of Virginia Union University, and knowing the history of Lumpkins Jail, knowing the terrors of those who tried to escape and how they were publicly humiliated and they were publicly beaten, how at that place of terror evolved into a place of higher education and higher learning. And I am a product of that. If it had not been for Lumpkins Jail and that experience and the sale to Virginia Union University, I probably would not be here today. And so this has a very personal meaning to me and personal importance to me. And we want to make sure that we are able to see this through. Also, we are at a very poignant point in our history, 150 years, the sesquicentennial, Virginia Union's 150th anniversary. This is a great time to get this work done. And so today we want to launch Richmond RVA Speaks. The first meeting will be at Martin Luther King Middle School, September 10th, and the second meeting will be at Huguenot High School, September 15th, and the schedule will be revealed as we get closer to the opportunity for those sessions to be held. I see this as a wonderful day in our city's history as we continue to take advantage of this opportunity to let the entire world know what happened here, but not only what happened here, let the entire world know that the good things that are happening here even today. So thank you so much for being here today. And I believe that I have the opportunity to bring up Joy, who is going to be the facilitator for all of these Richmond Speaks events. She has already worked with us on several occasions, and she's going to bring great expertise to this. So let's give her a round of applause. All right, Joy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am Joy Bailey Bryant, Managing Director of Lord Cultural Resources. We are a firm that works with cities and communities to harness the power of heritage and cultural assets, to teach, to learn, to grow, and to attract. We've done this all over the world, from telling stories of the thousands of lives that were lost at the World Trade Center, at the National September 11th Museum and Memorial, to recognizing the humanity of sanitation workers in Memphis at the National Civil Rights Museum, to the killing fields of Dhaka, Bangladesh, in the Liberation War Museum. Like these incredibly important world cities, Richmond has an authentic story to tell, and as Delegate McQuinn has stated, a unique opportunity. Richmond is a singular city. As the trading site where so many enslaved peoples began their journey south into the depths of slavery, Richmond alone has the opportunity, the responsibility to reclaim the dignity and humanity of these lives, of people whose names will never be known. It has been my job and my distinct pleasure over these last few years to work with the Richmond City Council, the Department of Economic Development, and the Richmond Slave Trail Commission to establish a master plan for knitting together these incredibly important sites, like Ann Carroll's Landing, where we stand today, the Winfrey College, still standing in Shockoe Bottom, and the Lumpkins Jail site, a place that is the very symbol of an idea that what one may mean for evil can be used for good. This story begins in Richmond and expands throughout the country. Richmond's influence, its soft power, reverberated across the country. And at this moment, the opportunity exists again to harness that power, to change not only everyday Richmonders' lives, but those of all Americans. But we cannot do this without the voice of Richmonders. For the next few months, we will engage the whole city in a conversation about the Lumpkin site and what it means to Richmond. Richmond Speaks is an ongoing conversation, a dialogue that will take place online, on social media, and in person. These conversations are about Richmonders, for Richmonders, as well as others. What is important to you, and how can we, through the Lumpkins Jail site, change your life? Join us in these conversations. The website will launch in the coming days, and the first in-person meetings, as the mayor said, will take place on Thursday, September 10th at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School and on September 15th at Huguenot School. This is a family affair. Every Richmonder is welcomed and everyone will be heard. I look forward to listening to Richmond speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Laird. I'm a partner with the James River Institute for Archaeology, and I had the pleasure and the privilege of directing the archaeological investigations that have been conducted at the Lumpkins jail site. I'm very excited to be here today, and it's actually hard to believe that it's been exactly 10 years ago since I and my firm first became involved with the Lumpkins Slave Jail project as a partner with the City of Richmond and the City Council's Slave Trail Commission. I can honestly say that the Lumpkins jail site ranks as the most important and unique site that I've ever had the opportunity to investigate in over 20 years of working as a professional historian and archaeologist. And this is why. No other site has had the combination of such a compelling history and powerful story to tell, and such an incredibly well-preserved historic landscape that you could actually see, feel, and be immersed in. There are few, if any, surviving above-ground historic sites so closely associated with Richmond's critical role in the interstate slave trade in the years before the Civil War. So when we descended into the archaeological site, we were literally transported back into time, into an era of Richmond's history that had long been buried and paid over, but fortunately not entirely forgotten. When we first began, we had no idea what we would find. Months of preliminary research told us where to look, but would we find any evidence of the Lumpkin era beneath the jumbled ruins of a later iron foundry, a railroad depot, and then Interstate 95? Incredibly, we did. After removing many feet of later fill, we uncovered the perfectly preserved cobblestone courtyard where Robert Lumpkin and his enslaved people once walked. We found the foundation of the kitchen building where African American women toiled to feed Lumpkin's customers and the men, women, and children that they came to purchase. We found a massive brick retaining wall that divided the site into two distinct levels, and which was an imposing physical and psychological barrier to those held there against their will. And most important of all, we uncovered the remains of that notorious jail building itself, buried nearly 15 feet beneath the modern parking lot level. We also recovered thousands of artifacts from that period, some of which were recently on display at the Library of Virginia. Perhaps the most significant of these was a carved bone ring that likely belonged to an enslaved African American person who worked or passed through the site. During the excavation, I had the opportunity to show the site to many visitors, and in every case they were amazed and moved to see for themselves and even to walk on the site where their predecessors, white and black, had been before them. Many told me that they came away with a deeper understanding of and a feeling for Richmond's past. It's one thing to read about this history in a book or on an interpretive marker, and those are very important, but it's something altogether different to actually step into it. The city of Richmond truly has an archaeological treasure at the Lumpkins jail site. It's a testament to the city and the Slave Trail Commission that they had the vision to seek it out, to commit the time and resources to reveal it, and the wisdom to recognize that what they found there was of truly national importance. So for my part, I'm excited to have the opportunity to continue working with them as they move forward with their goal of making this remarkable place accessible to everyone. Thanks very much.
I'm just pleased and proud as we talk about Lumpkins jail site and then connecting it to a very valuable institution in our community. Institution, again, as I've said, have produced just progressive leaders all over the country and the world for that matter. So at this time, if you would join me as we would offer ask to come to the podium, none other than Dr. Claude Perkins, who is the president of Virginia Union University.
Ms. McQuinn, Mayor Jones, and all of the other persons here today, this is a very, very significant event in the life and times of the city of Richmond. At Virginia Union University, of course, we are a living legacy to the end of the slave trail. We are the extension of all the things that have happened, and we're an institution that still embrace our heritage, and we look forward toward the future. As in any civilization, we're constantly looking at ways to advance our people in ways that they haven't been advanced before. And in doing that advancement, you have to consider all aspects of that development. The Lumpkins jail, the slave trade, and ultimately the development of a historic institution that produced some of America's most outstanding leaders in this country. we continue thinking about our work. A great leader once said that persons who keep their eyes closed as the revolution occurs are bound not to benefit from what the benefits of that revolution provided. So we are here today to thank all of you, to thank the mayor and to thank to all of the persons involved in the slave trail and your work, because you are making this a part of the fabric and fiber of the Commonwealth of Virginia and in fact the United States of America. So we're delighted and we're thankful that this project is going forward, and we look forward to being involved and our students to be involved as they continue to connect with their heritage with a focus toward the future. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Sounds pretty solemn for such an extraordinary event in our city. Words are hardly sufficient to really be able to express my heartfelt appreciation to all of those who brought us to this moment. The governors, the delegate, the mayor, many of you who are and have been a part of this effort for years, the Slave Trail Commission, and certainly my fellow colleagues on council, a couple of whom I see in the audience, who also have supported this effort to ensure that the history is told, that this particular site, where the voices and the names will never know, but the history will be told because it will be unearthed. And so I just don't have words sufficient to say how excited I am to have us be at this place a decade later from the first unearthing, to really be able to now to have the resources to tell the story, and to tell the story in a way that engages Richmonders. And you've heard several times, and I'll just reiterate, that this will engage Richmonders in a variety of ways, in forums. And so it's been mentioned, the very first one will be September 10th, and I want to keep reiterating this because this is not perfunctory, but authentic engagement of Richmonders in conversation about how to make this the kind of really memorialization of a period that we know that it can be. So the very first session will be September 10th, 6 p.m., Martin Luther King School, 1000 Mosby Street. The second session will be September 15th, 6 p.m., Huguenot High School, 7945 Forest Hill Avenue. Those are the first of many sessions to come. You will be receiving notification of others. Their flyers, and Miss Jeannie Welliver is holding those. But we will have, and you will have opportunity to give feedback through the in-person sessions. We'll use technology that people can also share with us. But this is a great period in our city, in our history, and now's the time to unearth this history, to tell the story. And I simply just thank all of you who've been involved thus far, every single one of you, but all of you who will be involved as we move forward to make this a reality. Thank you. Mayor Jones, if you would come forward, please. Again, as I said before, that we couldn't have found more committed and dedicated and individual or mayor that had been working along with us to make certain that we continue to move this, I guess, the development and the enhancement of the trail. And so just an appreciation for all of your great work and for your commitment to this. We just wanted to give you just a little something to say thank you in a very small way. We don't have any money to pay you, but anyway, we do appreciate you. And again, all that you have done to help us to advance this agenda and help this city to move the city forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we will not be taking questions, but there will be individuals who are out here, and you can ask feel free to go to any individual and ask any questions that you are in, additional information that you're interested in. Again, thank you so much for coming and being a part of this. We certainly do appreciate each of you.